showed you my vials that I load my powder in. Today I took it out and I did a powder test with some powder I've never used before. And I took my practice rifle out because I don't want to shoot all these rounds on my match barrel just because I don't know if it's going to be any good or not. But after I finish this, if I decide yeah, I like it, then I'll go ahead and load up the same thing in my match rifle and take it out to 600 yards. So this is all at 300 yards. But I just wanted to show you how I find a node. If you look at the very start, that's the lightest one that I shot on the target. So you can see right after that, they kind of stay at the same level right there. That's what I would consider a node. It's a little bit low here, and then these three, this one dropped down a little for some reason, who knows, it does that sometimes. But that's what I consider a node. Then you can see it hops up, opens up big, and you're out of this node. It jumps up, spreads out, the next one spreads out, same thing, and then all of a sudden, the next four, 1, 2, 3, 4, are all right in the same line. And that's the second node up. So you see, you don't need a chronograph to tell you any of this. Target tells you everything. If you just shoot across the paper, you can see how they're all on the same horizontal plane. Then it hops up, and then you've got another one. And if I kept going, it'd be another one. But the only problem is right where it popped up here, the very last one I did, that's when I started feeling a heavy bolt lift. So I stopped there. I mean, I had more rows down here to go if I wanted to keep going, but I knew that was my peak. And so I already had good enough data for just a 300-yard initial test. So now I know what to load to go out to 600 yards. So I'm not wasting a long drive out there to do this initial test. I already know where to start. And I actually started lower than this, but this is kind of where it started to make the most sense to show you guys. So usually when I get out to 600 yards, I'll run this same test, but I'll run it 4 times because I want to see it repeat itself. I don't never just trust one target and say, there, that's gospel, that's what it is. And usually if I'm shooting my match barrel and things are going well, most of this stuff is through the same hole. And it's really hard to tell, you know, where the peak of the node is and where the end of the node is. But with my practice rifle, it's got a couple thousand rounds on it and it doesn't shoot as tight anymore. So it's really good for initial testing. As you can see, when you're out and when you're out and when you're out, and then all of a sudden you come back in. Now they're not tight like I want them to be. They're not going through the same hole, but at least it gives me a representation of where I want to be. So this is, I'm not sure, I'm not a rocket scientist or anything, but I've heard it said over and over and again, tune in your barrel. Well, I think there's harmonics in the barrel, and just because the velocity is going up and up and up and up, you can see they're all sitting on the same spot. So when you're trying to tune with a chronograph and the velocities are going up and up and up and up, well, on the target they're not. They're just shooting nice and level, and they're shooting nice and level. Even though the velocities in all of these are going up, they're still level on the target, and that's what you're looking for, those nodes. So you want to shoot in these nodes, and that's where your most accurate, you know, consistent areas are going to be. I've had a bunch of guys ask me, well, how do you tune for a hot day? Well, in the morning it's 60 degrees, and, you know, afternoon it's 90 degrees. But you might want to pick, if this is the node you pick, you might want to pick that lightest one. So it's shooting good early in the morning where I just shot, but if it warms up and you're worried about it going up, you've got room for that node to stay comfortable. You're not going to pop over and end up way up here. I guess you could if you left your ammo sit out in the sun and cooked it, but if you keep your ammo, you know, in a container like I do, keep it temperature stable, just bring it out to shoot it. Shooting this low one here is going to be fine. Another thing you got to be worried about, if you pick the highest one of the node, as your barrel heats up, it's going to also cause things to rise up. You put the barrel gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and it's going to keep on climbing and climbing and climbing on you. So I would recommend shooting down here. As things heat up, you end up into the middle, at the end of the middle of the match, when your barrel's all hot and the temperature's all hot, you're still safe and in the middle. So that's how you can pick a node, pick where to shoot in the node, even on a big temperature sensitive day. Now if it's in the middle of the winter and it's going to be stay between 30 and 40 degrees, why, you can pick anywhere, it's not going to matter. But in the summertime, you might want to pick just the lowest one, you know, just keep yourself safe and not go over. And so that's it for initial powder testing. It pretty much shows exactly how you can do it. The target tells you everything. You don't need to shoot them all in one big hole in the middle and then try to figure out which ones go with what powder charge. You can spread them out over the paper, and it's really easy to see where your node is and where it's not. You can see which ones, and I write it down on a piece of paper exactly which charge it is, so I can go reference my paper now that I'm home, and I can figure out exactly where the start, where the end, where the start, where the end, where I don't want to be. You know, I can reload this up for 600 and I go take it out there and test it in my match rifle and see how it does compared to what I've been doing. What I've been doing is been shooting lights out. 600 yards on a practice day, 3-shot groups is somewhere around an inch or under. So if this doesn't match that, then I'll stick with the current powder I have. But velocities and all that stuff, it really doesn't matter to me. I just know that when I got to this one right here, I put that charge in, it jumped up, and I felt my bolt get heavy. So I know I don't want to be above that. I want to be below. Now whether or not this one here on a hot day is going to keep my bolt good after I've run 20 shots down the darn thing, I'm not sure. That'll come through testing. I may have to come down here with it. Now this node down here is fine. I mean, I don't know why so many guys got to get every bit of velocity out of their rifle that they can. I mean, at Nationals the last 3 years at 600 yards, I shot way down here. I mean, peak was way up there and I shot way down here, and I won 3 years in a row. See, all that velocity doesn't mean anything, it's accuracy. You need the accuracy. If they're not shooting tight, then it just doesn't matter. So I always go for accuracy over velocity. That's why I just say leave your chronograph at home. It's just going to drive you crazy, especially, you know, if you're not used to reading these numbers and you hear some guy over there saying, oh, I'm running 3,000 feet per second. Well, did he win anything? Well, probably not. But, you know, it's just kind of how that goes. It's the guys that I know that are winning are the guys that are running in these nodes. They're not worried about speed, they're worried about accuracy. So I'm not impressed with this accuracy at all, but I can see the nodes and show you guys the representation. The other powder that I'm shooting in my match rifle, I've got pretty much these all in the same hole at 300 and these all in the same hole at 300. When I get up to 600, it opens up towards you can really see which is the best. Now this all looks pretty much the same, and I'm having my doubts that this powder is going to work, but I'll give it a try. That's what I do. I test everything. Every powder I hear out there or see that's in the powder chart I'll see if I can get a hold of some. Go out and give it a shot and see, just test and see. You don't know until you try. So I've got a little bit of this powder. I'll give it a try. If I like it, I'll get more. If I don't, well, then I'm not out too much money. If you just buy a pound at the start and go give it a try. If you like it, you can go get more later. But that's what I do for powder. So hopefully that's helpful to some of you guys. Keep groups small. Have a good one.